So, today I want to talk about something that is probably going to sound controversial, right? And it really, in my view, shouldn't be. Is fat loss easy? Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because there's a whole lot of people, like fitness influencers, fitness people and stuff like that, and they will say stuff that is, I think, very manipulative and dishonest. And for example, they will say to their audience, oh, I know how hard fat loss is. Meanwhile, these motherfuckers are maintaining razor sharp abs all year round, right? That doesn't make sense to me. Instead, they're just saying stuff that they know the audience want to lap up, right? And they'll also say stuff like, oh, don't try and get lean, it will make you miserable. And yet they're lean all year round a lot of the time, right? Again, this doesn't make sense. You ain't leading by example, are you, right? So, I want to tackle this because I think that the problem with putting the message out that something is difficult makes it more difficult, right? Whereas if we can actually look at this and go, well, is it actually difficult, right? We can actually get some objective reality in it and maybe reframe how you feel about things, okay? Because what we generally have, right, is if we want a result that we don't currently have, let's say, for example, fat loss is a goal that you have. You want to lose some fat, okay? Then we have a goal, and in between where we are now and where we want to be, there's that bit in between, and that's the process, right? So I think that we can break that process down into like 3 types of barrier, okay? So we would have basically, what is the difficulty of the process to get to the goal? In other words, is it easy? Is it difficult? Okay? But what is easy, right? How do we define the difficulty? So I like to keep this quite clear, okay? For me, the difficulty of the task, the process to get to the goal, is if we do everything correctly, how certain are we of the result? Okay? So we have a column here like ease. Okay? Is the process easy or difficulty? What is the difficulty of the process, right? So, before I go into fat loss, I'm actually going to go into a different process, right, to demonstrate what I'm on about, okay? So let's say that you want to become heavyweight boxing champion of the world, okay? So we're going to put here boxing champ, okay? Again, my atrocious writing, please bear with me. Okay, boxing champ, right. So, if you do everything correctly, right, to become a boxing champ, do you think you are certain of becoming a boxing champ, right? Now, if you're idealistic or unaware, you might think, yeah, why not, right? No, the answer is no. This is difficult, okay? Even if you do everything, absolutely everything, the odds of you becoming the heavyweight boxing champion of the world, or indeed any weight class, let's just say any weight class, is very, 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 very low. Indeed, even people who are boxing champs don't keep their titles, and they are objectively the best in the world, and they struggle to do it. So we can say that boxing champ is difficult, okay? Let's put an X for that. It's not easy, it is difficult, okay? Then, the next column, okay, is the process simple or is it complicated? Okay, so is it simple or is it complicated, right? What is the degree of complexity in the process? Okay, so if we use the boxing champ example, we think, okay, how many moving components are there to become a boxing champion? There's a lot. First of all, there's just the skill. You have to practice to be good at the thing. Then you have to have the training. You have to have the physical fitness. You have to have the durability. You also have to have the genetics. You have to have the sparring partners. You have to have the access to resources, to coaches, to equipment. The ability to just get fights. Oh my God, right? So, is becoming a boxing champ simple? It's not, right? And then the final barrier, so we've got the barrier of difficulty, we've got the barrier of complexity, how streamlined or how many moving parts are there, and then pain, okay? And with pain, like you could say that there's like, you know, physical pain and emotional pain, mental pain, right? So boxing literally involves pain. You get punched in the head, okay? You have also the pain of the physical training. You also have the emotional pain of the rigors of knowing what is ahead of you, the emotional pain of defeat, dealing with the ups and downs, like, oh my God. So, pain. Okay, so to become a boxing champ, okay, it is difficult, it is complicated, and it is painful. Okay, cool. Now, the reason I'm going through all of this is because what we want to do is when we have a goal and we have a process, if we can identify these barriers and the size of the barriers, we can think about strategies to deal with each one, which can make it actually easier to see where we need to work. Okay, I think this is a big, big, big plus. Okay, so should we do another example? Maybe not. We don't need to worry about another example. I think you understand what I'm getting at. So let's go back to fat loss. Okay, so we've defined these three columns of the process. Okay, so if we now have fat loss as our goal and our process, okay, where does fat loss come under ease? Okay, so if we do, okay, the thing, right, that causes fat loss, will fat loss occur? Okay, so in order to reduce fat, all it is basically is the process of reducing calories. Okay, so if you reduce your calories, okay, so that you are now in a calorie deficit, you will lose fat. Now, that is oversimplifying it a little bit, because you can make this process better by doing things like having a higher protein diet, doing resistance training. All of those things will improve the result. But if all you do is reduce your calories, you will reduce your fat. It won't be as optimal as if you do all of those extra things like the high protein and so on and so forth, right? But in terms of ease, actually, yes, fat loss is easy, because if we do the right thing, the result will happen. It is literally a one-for-one cause and effect. There is no doubt. If you get into this situation, you will cause the effect. Like I said, there are ways to fine-tune it, but it will happen. Okay? So we have this whole thing of people sometimes saying, oh, no matter what I do, I just gain weight. And that's just not true. It's literally not true. If you think genuinely that that is true, you actually have superpowers. You should probably go to NASA, because they would want to study you for how they can create mass without fuel, which may actually solve all of the energy and fuel concerns for the human race. Honestly, this whole thing here, it is the case, right? So then we move on to simplicity, okay? So how simple is it to reduce your calories? From a very, very, very oversimplified point of view, it's eat less calories, right? Now, I know that that upsets some people, right? Oh my God, why did I write the S backwards? Oh my God, it's smudged. Oh, this is a disaster. There we go, eat less, right? So from this point of view, in terms of extra steps that you have to take, in terms of how many moving parts are there and so on and so forth, this actually involves you doing less than you were. So if you wish to lose fat and the process is to reduce your calories, really doing less than you already are couldn't be any simpler. Now obviously that's a bit of an oversimplification, I know, right? But just for this point of this argument, looking at the process, you go, ooh, actually, I don't have to do anything crazy. One of the things that people might say is the reason I can't lose weight is because I don't eat salads. And that's adding an extra complication to the process that isn't true. You don't need to eat salads to lose weight, okay? It is simply, you could simply eat less of what you're currently eating and you will lose fat, okay? Does that make it the best approach? No, it doesn't. Okay, I'm not saying that. There is definitely ways to change the approach and make it better. But from the point of view of simplicity, it is that, right? If you stick people on a desert island and their food is reduced, they will all lose weight. End of. Like, nobody gains weight when food is less abundant, okay? It's a bit like if you watch the film Akira, you know, and Tetsuo is like losing control of his powers, and he starts to grow and grow and grow and grow. Now you might say, well look, he's growing, he has, but no, what Tetsuo is doing when he loses control of his power is he's actually consuming everything around him. Indeed, the film Akira is about the next evolution in the human race being one conceptually of the next evolution being a step to a pure energy being. And that's what Tetsuo is becoming. But in order to do that, he has to consume everything around him, which is why they have to deal with him very urgently, because otherwise he's going to consume literally everything. And so his growth is linked to what he's consuming. So even in Akira, they don't escape this, okay? By the way, you should watch Akira. It's literally one of the greatest films ever made, right? Like, seriously. So we know it's simple, okay? So we have ease and we have simple. Now we get to the real bit, okay? The pain, okay? So there is physical pain, right? So if you're looking to reduce fat and you go on fat loss, we could argue that there's physical pain in terms of dealing with hunger. I'm going to list that as a physical pain. And also dealing with potentially your energy going down, okay? Because you're reducing your energy, right? Because you're reducing your energy, you may feel like you have less energy. That's a common thing. I would list those as physical pains, okay? And then we have the emotional aspect, okay? So we have pleasure, okay? If food is like a very, oh my God, again the S's, okay? If food is an important pleasure outlet for you, okay, then you may feel like reducing your food is reducing your pleasure. And for some people, that might be the only high point in their day, which makes me sad, right? And then there's also the fact of just literally, if it's a crutch, right? If you eat, even maybe not even necessarily enjoying, okay, what you're eating, but it's a habit, a behavior, a crutch. So here we have, is fat loss painful, right? And so we're going to put an X there because, yes, we have multiple things that create pain, okay? So, if we think to ourselves, is fat loss easy? Yes, it is easy, and it's simple, but what we actually have to deal with is the pain of fat loss, okay? The discomfort. But just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean that it's difficult. We have certainty of the process and we have simplicity in the process, okay? We just have to deal with these. Well, now we know this, we can go, do you know what? It's easy, okay? One of the things you could put here for the emotional pain is doubt. Some people go, do you know what? I doubt I can do it. But we can remove that if we think, do you know what? It's easy, okay? So, how do we deal with these bits of pain? I'm actually going to make this helpful, right? So, the physical aspect of, say, like hunger, okay? We have the sensation of hunger. One of the ways to get around that, to create fat loss, to reduce the calories, okay, to eat less, right, is to eat more fibre in your diet, to eat higher protein. Both protein and fibre help curb appetite, okay? Energy, again, if you eat more whole foods, if you eat foods that are less processed, you know, have more fibre, energy is distributed through the body at a slower rate, which can massively help feelings of energy crashes and so on and so forth, okay? Pleasure, okay? If you enjoy eating the foods that are making you overweight, look for strategies in terms of how you can enjoy the foods that will also promote weight loss and fat loss if you need it. So finding ways to make meals pleasurable with seasoning and how you cook, and flavourings and sauces and so on and so forth. This can make meals very, very pleasurable. So we can eliminate hunger, we can eliminate the low energy feeling, we can eliminate like the feeling of I don't enjoy this, right, by just very simple strategies. Again, simple, add flavouring, add seasoning, so on and so forth, right? No one has to be a martyr to their diet. You know, that's why the whole thing of the fitness influencers going, it's so miserable. Shut the fuck up. You might be miserable, or you might just be saying that so you can appeal to sad people in the crowd, right? Stop it. Fuck's sake, stop it. It doesn't have to be miserable, and it doesn't have to be painful, okay? And it doesn't have to be hard, right? It is easy, and it is simple, and there are basic strategies for dealing with these. However, if the emotional crutch thing is there, like the habit, you know, that is something that may be out of your ability. You may need to do some extra processing in terms of get other professional help with your habitual stuff, okay? Like if it's these ones here, the hunger, the energy and the pleasure, that can be dealt with yourself with just basic strategies. If it's a real crutch, and I mean a real crutch, not just you're saying that so you can get away with this, like, you know, like if you can actually do these things and make everything easier and simpler for yourself, then do that. Like honestly, don't just parrot like what other people say just so you can join in. Actually get the results you want and be happy. If no one else is happy around you, fuck them. You don't want to listen to miserable people anyway. Fuck them. Be happy, right? But if you have a real emotional habitual problem, okay, with using food as a crutch, then get some fucking help, right? Seriously, get some help, right? But apart from that, all of these can be circumvented with like good, easy strategies that make this happen and make it easy. So, is fat loss easy? Yes, motherfucker, it is. And it's simple. And we just, if we look at this and think, these are my pains, we deal with them, right? There you go. I hope that was helpful. Have a nice day.